So, something a little different today. I put off the Final Fantasy VII remake for quite a while, and I recently dug into it, and I am really enjoying it on every possible level imaginable. This game is just a great way to revisit the old memories of Final Fantasy VII from back in the day. And something occurred to me almost immediately, I would say instantly, right? So today we're going to take a slight departure from the usual things, the speculations and so forth. And we're going to take a bit of a different approach and take a look at Final Fantasy VII and why this is a game that, despite whatever happens in the future, despite the technologies, despite what Sony PlayStation evolves into in the future, despite everything else, why Final Fantasy VII is always going to be relevant, right? This will be a game that lives on in perpetuity, I would say, for as long as possible. As long as video games are a thing and there's a way to play them, Final Fantasy VII will keep having a rebirth, a remake, a remaster. It will just be remade constantly. This doesn't hold true for the other ones. 1 through 6, 8 through 16. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe here and there, sprinkled around, we will see those games kind of be more modernized. But the first one, right? And we see this as this glaring example, right? What was the first one to have kind of a fresh breath of air, right? It was 7. And I don't think that was an accident. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. So this is going to be a little bit, a mystical kind of me telling you a story. Okay? And this is why it's going to be relevant. Ready? So once upon a time, in a world called Gaia, there existed a bustling city known as Midgar. Towering above the land, its imposing presence cast a shadow upon the people living below. The city was powered by Mako, a mysterious energy source extracted from the planet's core. However, unknown to its citizens, the extraction of Mako had dire consequences for the planet's well-being. You might be able to see where I'm going here. In the heart of this industrial metropolis, a group of unlikely heroes emerges. Cloud, a mercenary haunted by his past, teamed up with a band of eco-activists known as Avalanche. Led by the passionate and spirited Barrett, their mission was to take down the Shinra Electric Power Company, the corporation responsible for draining the planet's life force. As everything unfolds, it becomes clear that the plot of Final Fantasy VII holds a striking resemblance to the real-world crisis of climate change. Gaia is much like our Earth, faced a looming threat due to the uncontrolled exploitation of natural resources. The Mako reactors are basically like our fossil fuel industries, or maybe even the nuclear industry, sucking the planet dry, causing irreversible damage to the environment, and endangering the lives of its inhabitants. The parallels get even stronger as Avalanche reveals the hidden truth behind the crisis. They discover that the planet itself was a living entity, known as a life stream, which connects all living beings and maintain a delicate balance of life. The excessive extraction of Mako disrupts this balance, very much like the alarming rise of greenhouse gas emissions, upsetting the Earth and its climate. We continue on, and the story exposes and explores the consequences of human greed and exploitation of natural resources. Shinra's pursuit and relentless pursuit of power and profit symbolizes the unrelenting pursuit of economic growth at the expense of the environment. And this is mirroring the actions of the corporations in our world, prioritizing short-term growth over long-term sustainability. Now, throughout their journey, Cloud and his companions witnesses the devastating impact of the planet's deterioration. But they also witness the desolation of once lush forests, poisoning of rivers and lakes, and suffering of those living on the fringes of society. So the game basically depicts the interconnections of the ecosystem and the vulnerability of the planet and its delicate balance being disrupted. Well, weird. That's basically what we talk about now every time you turn the news on, right? Exactly. So how could this game ever kind of fade out? I don't think it can. And this, this whole thing continues now as the heroes are confronting Shinra. They also had to face their own inner battles and confront the consequences of their actions, right? So Cloud, he's forced to confront the manipulation of his own memories and his identity, symbolizing this disconnect with humanity and nature. So, and in doing so, this whole story, this whole narrative of Final Fantasy just highlights the need for self-reflection and responsibility, in the face of an economic problem and an environmental problem, and both are too intertwined, right? So, ultimately, the story of FF7, Final Fantasy 7, right, it conveys a powerful message, and it's about the urgent need for environmental stewardship. So, it encourages the players to consider the impact of their actions around the world and to recognize the inherent value of nature. And it basically serves as a cautionary tale, right? This is almost like Jurassic Park level, right? A cautionary tale reminding us that our own actions of today shape the future of the planet. And we must strive to find balance here. Whereas Jurassic Park kind of hits on the same thing. It's like, hey, just because we can do something doesn't mean we should. It's basically the same thing here, right? And as we wrap up, with Final Fantasy VII, Gaia, stands on the precipice of this huge change, and the heroes of Avalanche manage to expose the truth, and they rally the people of Midgar, this huge inspirational moment that transcends the societal divides, right? So we have the slums and then the upper class, right? So it just transcends this. It's a testament to the power of unity and the strength of collective action in the face of a seemingly insurmountable challenge, right? So, as it wraps up, Final Fantasy VII is a poignant reminder, right, that the fight against climate change and the preservation of our Earth, or Gaia, right, is not confined to the realms of fantasy. We call it Final Fantasy, but it really isn't. It's a battle that we must all actively engage in, both individually and collectively. Now, for it to preserve the beauty and the vitality of Earth, it's just as the heroes of Gaia fought to save theirs. So that's a bit of a little narrative there, and I thought, this just really rings true, and it always will. We're always going to be talking about this, and that's why essentially Final Fantasy VII, despite other games, despite other popularities, despite technology, despite the consoles and the console wars and the digital or physical, it's just always going to be there. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This is Retro Renovo. Like and subscribe if you like to. If you don't, that's fine too. And until next time, have a good one.